Hey, thank you everybody for joining again. Here we have Roberto with us as usual, and we have Charles here. So, welcome to the next pour. Um, why don't we start with Charles? Charles, can you give a little bit brief about your career? How did you started in construction? How did you ended up in construction? And let's go from there.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all today. It's absolutely an honor. And as I get older, I try to make sure I spend time to give back because I've had the opportunity to have some fantastic mentors.
Nice.
And so I get a chance to pass on what I've been able to experience and knowledge
Yeah.
to the younger generation. So to just start, I graduated from Georgia Tech in Atlanta, Georgia, in
Nice.
mechanical engineering, and then I moved across the country to the complete opposite to the northwest to work for the city of Portland. And it
Mm.
was a great experience as a city engineer there, and I worked there for about 8 years, responsible for design, management, and construction management for the pump stations and the treatment plant.
Mm.
And then I came back home to Atlanta and to be with my father to make sure that I took care of him because my mom had passed. So once I started that exercise back in Atlanta, I was working for the various different consent decree programs that were going on in Atlanta. And if you're not familiar with consent decrees, it's basically where you have a situation where legally the municipality has to respond
Mm.
because of the fact of overflows
Yeah.
and spills. And so they come in with a schedule that you must abide by once you've submitted it. And so you have milestones that need to be met, performance indicators and whatnot. And got a chance to experience that with a number of different cities in the surrounding Atlanta area, metropolitan area.
Yeah.
And then I moved from there to Arizona
Mm.
and worked there for a large treatment plant upgrade there and spent couple years there, and then moved on to South Africa
Oh,
and
wow.
worked there for the largest coal to gas refinery in the world. And spectacular experience. It gave me an opportunity to really just sharpen my sword,
Yeah.
rebuild my reputation in a new place across the pond.
Yeah.
Then I came back to the U.S., started back in water and wastewater, and then ended up in the nation's capital doing roadway and transportation for the
Yeah.
largest project in DDOT's history.
Yeah.
And that was all construction management there or program management, depending upon the hat that I was wearing.
Yeah.
And then from there, I went back across the country to California, where I was managing a major program there in San Francisco and surrounding area. And then I became vice president responsible for major responsibilities in PMCM. And then my wife had on her bucket list to be a flight attendant. And she started with one of the major airlines, and then their hub was here in Dallas. And then I said I need to make my move to Dallas then. And so that's what brought me to Texas. So that's where I am right now.
Okay.
That's the brief kind of summary of it, just the places that I've been and things that I've done.
Yeah, it seems like you have been all over the town, and
Yes.
also like the construction is such an industry or such an occupation where you have to move once if, especially if you're working with the big projects, and as big projects move, you have to go with them to different countries and different places, and also you have to take care of your family,
Yes.
and that's something that only like construction folks can understand. So I'm sure like you had difficulty managing that portion of your life, uh, professional and like personal life. Do you think like the things have changed now, or it has become easier for the folks as compared to what you experienced in like starting part of your career, especially with the work environment and stuff?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Mm.
I know that it does change your lifestyle. I
Mm.
mean, when I first started, I was not doing construction management solely.
Mm.
When I first started, I was doing mainly project management for design and construction, but I didn't solely do construction management.
Mm.
But one of the things I realized from my peers that solely did construction management, that definitely you had to move to wherever the work was.
Yeah.
You can't really work remote and do construction management.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. So I did get a chance to have the opportunity to be mentored by a lot of great individuals that as
Mm.
they retired, I was familiar with the system and the methodology, and I understood what it took to create a successful project.
Right.
And so that's what took me across the world, was just basically, as people retire, they recommend me to follow in their footsteps and make them proud.
Yeah. So now that the a lot of youngsters are coming in the industry and uh, they're trying to learn new ways, but especially the problem that we keep hearing is there's lots and lots of people are moving out of industry too, and there's like the cumulative outgrace from the industry is much more than the new guys who are coming in the industry. So to maintain this balance and to pass down the knowledge, in your opinion, like what are the things that can be done that you learn from your peers or mentors that you're talking about? Like how can we make the balance so the new guys that are coming in that they can learn and the legacies of the generations that living out of the construction industry, we can save and safeguard those things.
Great question. I would say this. I look at it this way, and I used to speak to a lot of the students about joining the engineering profession,
Hmm.
whether they be in high school or elementary school. But you have to start young.
Yeah.
And what that means is that when you look at the engineering profession, the top three professions that most people know of are doctors, lawyers, and engineers.
Right.
And there's a study that was done by Bechtel for the ASCE, which is the American Society of Civil Engineers, years ago.
Hmm.
And I was a part of, that whole push to create more engineers. And one of the things that they found was that people didn't really understand what engineers did every day. And so it's like we really decided to make a push to understand what was our typical speech when someone asked us, what does an engineer do?
Mm.
When you look at doctors and lawyers, you see them on a sitcom, you see them in a movie, you see
Right.
them on TV, on radio and whatnot, or you hear from them on radio. So pretty much, you have some idea of what engineers, I mean,
Yeah.
doctors and lawyers do, but not engineers.
Right.
They think that we're antisocial. They think
Yeah.
that we all act like Spock. They
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that we stay on a computer all day
Yeah.
and we don't talk to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in actuality, we do two things every single day.
Right.
And this came from the study. We
Yeah.
solve problems and we work as a team.
Right.
That's a completely different perspective than what the normal
Yeah.
perspective is, to think that we're antisocial. So I think that that's one of the things that we want to try to make sure that we tell the proper story to young people,
Hmm.
so that we not only increase the breadth of people that are interested in engineering,
Right.
but also that they understand what a typical day is like. And this, depending upon what firm you work for, what area of the country or the world that you're working in,
Yeah.
what area of business that you're in, engineering is so diverse.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such an amazing point because like the TV and the media usually portrays the engineers as a nerdy,
Yes.
sitting in front of the computer guys,
Yes.
but especially in our construction industry, they don't just have to be like thinker; they have to be leaders because
Yes.
they have you are the folks, then people are following them, and like
Right.
if you are not good leader, then your project
Yes.
is not going to be successful. So
Yes.
that's a great point there and great insight. I never thought about that, in that way. So like that brings me to this thought, like as technology is evolving and construction is moving, um, in your opinion, like as we move into the future, what are the things that the young folks should learn more or pay more attention to those things, right? So being like, the technical things are one thing, but human resources or managing people or the other things, in your opinion, like which are the things that are more valuable? um,
Well, I'll say it this way.
mm,
As technology continues to impact our lives,
yeah.
it does make things simpler for us to perform things.
Mm,
At the same time, you have to, I believe, have some balance and actually learn how to use your hands.
mm,
Meaning that growing up, I worked on cars.
yeah.
I learned how to use my hands with carpentry
Yeah.
and draftsmanship. Those are kind of lost arts in today's world.
Right.
And where we struggle, in engineering and construction is people that actually have hands-on experience. The
Mm.
reason why you need that is just to know how things fit together.
Right.
If you've never seen how things fit together, you don't really understand it from just working on a computer.
Right.
So I would encourage all engineering students to be a part of organizations where they get a chance to perform actual design. I mean, I went to Georgia Tech, so
Mm.
they were big on robotics. They were big on automotive designs. They were big on taking cars and souping them up to make sure that they got a chance to get hands-on experience. So you
Right.
would take mechanical engineering and then you turn it into a hot rod.
Right. Right.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's really where you get a chance to apply your equations, understand what it's like to utilize your hands and
Yeah.
see it come to pass and build it from scratch.
Right, right. That's so important. Yeah, the computers are evolving, but like most of the engineering that people don't realize that it's outside those computers when people build things or even like managing people. That's
Yes.
such a difficult part of the engineering aspect. And I think as we evolve in the future, these things are going to get more and more important. So I want to like put some lights on like your experiences, and maybe if you can recall like what are the some of the biggest challenge that you faced or like the learnings you had in your time, and then maybe something we can learn from that or we can grasp. um,
Okay. Well, as I mentioned before, I've lived a number of different places throughout the world
yeah.
as a result of taking on challenging projects and assignments throughout the world. One reason that I did that was I wanted to continue to sharpen my sword.
Mm,
I didn't want to get complacent. I wanted to push myself. So every time you move to a new place, you're rebuilding your reputation. But you also get a chance to really hone in on what does it take to create success.
mm,
It takes a successful environment to create success. And how do you create a successful environment? And why
yeah.
is that so important? I've been a part of some very, very incredible projects with
Hmm.
incredible people.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that there's a key thing that's always in common
Mm,
is that incredible projects are performed by incredible people.
hmm.
But incredible people
Yeah.
have to want to be successful.
Mm,
But you can't make anyone be successful. They have to volunteer for that.
mm,
So there's no actually firing someone from being successful. I mean, it's that they choose to be. And
right.
so it's literally like having a flower where you water. You
Mm,
create the environment, plant the seed, and then allow the people to become a part of something very special.
right.
And it feeds off itself.
Mm,
You know, you've got different parties. You've got the contractor, you've got the
mm,
construction management,
yeah.
you've got the owner, you've
Yeah.
got the designer. So you've
Hmm.
got all these separate entities
Yeah.
that you want to try to get together as the construction manager because you're pulling it all together
Yeah.
to get everyone to be aligned to
Hmm.
accomplish a common goal.
Right. That's yeah. So what you're saying is the first and foremost thing I get is the success is something that you cannot force people into. They have to volunteer, and the only thing that you can do in your firm, if you are a construction company or just as a if you're an executive, you have to create a successful environment where people can grow. But then you cannot force people into being successful.
That's
Is
right.
that yeah?
It comes from most people think of leadership as being top down and directing people. I
Hmm.
look at it as creating an environment for success
Yeah.
because as a leader,
Yeah.
you are planting the seed for people to feel comfortable. I need everyone's opinion. There's no
Yeah.
such thing as one person's opinion dominating the conversation. It's everyone
Yeah.
providing input because you never know what input might make a difference.
Yeah. But also in construction we have this idea is like too much democracy is a bad thing, because like if somebody doesn't don't be strict and like just say this is how the things are going to be, then the diverse views and opinion may derail the project. I'm being the devil's advocate and like just
No, that's a great point. And,
yeah.
and, and, and that's because of the fact of if it's done in a direct mode
Yeah.
where you're issuing instructions versus getting everyone to understand. Because at the end of the day, when you're performing construction,
Yeah.
uh, going the extra mile, when you're talking about creating an environment of success,
Yeah.
that's also an environment of safety.
Mm.
So if people don't feel comfortable speaking up, if they don't feel comfortable in their space, if they don't
Yeah.
feel like they feel comfortable looking out for each other, if you
Yeah.
see someone performing something unsafe, you
Yeah.
just say, well, it's not my job.
Mm.
And so that's what I mean. It's looking out for each other.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it's just one particular party. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone does it. It's okay if the contractor mentions it to the owner, or the
Yeah.
owner mentions it to the designer.
Yeah.
All of us are trying to create this environment where we can be successful. And it shows in a successful schedule.
Mm.
It shows in a successful budget. It
Yeah.
shows in its success in terms of safety in
Mm.
so many different areas.
Yeah. So would you say that a successful project can be measured in terms of like the points you just made? Like if my project is successful, and if then I can see a good schedule, good safety record, good quality standards, and those are like direct indicators of a successful project.
Yes, I would say you have your broad base indicators and
Hmm.
you have your more detailed indicators.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the average construction project in the field, it probably takes 3 to 5 years a lot of
Right.
times on major projects. Some that
Yeah.
are smaller might take less time.
Mm.
That's a long haul.
Yeah.
And so being able to have a successful safety record every single day
Yeah.
means that you understand that it's a long haul. And
Yeah.
the investment that you have in each other makes all the difference.
Yeah.
When you talk about performance indicators, you can slice it and dice it up all different kinds of ways.
Yeah.
Some things are easy to put a number on, and some things are not.
Yeah.
For example, something as powerful as mentorship. You don't
Right.
really put a number on mentorship, but if people feel like this is something that they want to be engaged in and they
Yeah.
feel like they have a clear career path, they're probably going to stay on the projects longer as
Yeah.
opposed to as opposed to them leaving because they're disenchanted.
Yeah.
Now, you could put a number on the people that left or resigned or moved on to different opportunities.
Yeah.
You could put a number on that. But every day, you're either contributing to a successful working environment for people that they feel comfortable asking questions.
Mm. That's a great point, and especially now that industry is like struggling with the lack of talent, and there are not
Yes.
enough people to take the job. So it's like it's not even responsibility now; it's a demand that you create this environment where people can stay longer in one project or one company, and then they speak. That's a great point. And but I want to also like ask you as an engineer, like, and it's from my experience also, like measuring this thing like day to day, maybe as keeping a good safety record, and like just maintaining those records and collecting matrices from everywhere on your project, so you can like see how your project is doing. That's such a difficult job, like getting right data from supers, so you can like see how your project is moving along. If you need to keep updating schedule, that's always so difficult because there's so many people involved and your schedule is always slacking. So any insights or thoughts there?
So that's another great point. I like to think that you have the details and you have the general things that make the most difference.
Mm.
You do need to emphasize the things that make the most difference.
Mm.
The details are supplementary, but
Mm.
I give you a good example. I consider that success is 80% people and 20% technical.
Mm.
That means that you have to
Wow.
create this kind of environment, which is something that, say, for instance,
Yeah.
when you look at a project,
Yeah.
creating a safe, a successful environment. I had a example where we were performing work for the roadway. So it was 17 bridges and no 17 retaining walls and 7 bridges. And it was a major project shutting
Mhm.
down traffic along the highway and everything. And so what happened was we were putting up these retaining walls and the contractor was trying to achieve the nails being adhered to the soils.
Mm.
So as they tried to screw those in, they weren't able to attach to the soils.
Mm.
So they were wondering how they could make that happen.
Right.
So we talked about ways that we could come up with a way to make it happen, and we ended up bringing in a subject matter expert that knew about the conditions of the soil in the surrounding areas.
Mm.
And we also brought in a an engineer in the field that could help to support those suggestions and make sure that they provided feedback for the contractor
Mm.
as they tried to achieve those results.
Mm.
The reason why that's so important was we kept our thinking caps on. If
Mm.
we took our thinking caps off, we could have butted heads.
Yeah.
And butting heads would have meant that the schedule would have been pushed out at least 6 months.
Yeah.
If the schedule was pushed out at least 6 months, that would have been about equivalent to about $3 to $5 million in liquidated damages.
Right.
Okay. Not only that, it would have also required getting additional easements.
Right.
And that would have pushed it out even further, not knowing how long it would even take to get that, at a
Right.
minimum 6 months.
Right.
Okay. Then you also have the pay that's required for the additional easements.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So now you've got all this stuff that's just mounting.
Right.
So you invest on the front end to try to come up with some solutions by keeping your thinking cap on and saying, okay,
Right.
well, let's invest in this. We
Yeah.
don't know what the outcome's going to be, but we're
Yeah.
going to create an environment where people feel comfortable coming up with suggestions. The
Yeah.
engineer came up with suggestions. The construction manager came up with suggestions. The on-site engineer came up with suggestions. The contractor came up with
Mm.
suggestions. Okay, you put all that in a pot
Yeah.
and you come up with this way that people feel comfortable because no one has all the answers.
Mm.
And we ended up having those soil nails to
Yeah.
adhere to the soils, and we
Yeah.
did not have to push out the schedule.
Mm.
We did not have to spend the additional $3 to $5 million,
Mm.
and we ended up being the consultant of choice going forward about the way that we handled the whole situation.
Right. That's really that's good. I'm just interested. What did you do with the soil nails so they stuck in the ground? Did you get a different kind of soil nail or treated the ground?
Well, what happens is that as you try to drill the soil nails into the soil,
Yeah.
if you don't make sure that you have a proper alignment and
Mm.
make sure that you add the tools,
Yeah.
so that you talk about AI. Well,
Yeah.
we didn't have AI usage as much at that time because this
Mm.
was maybe 6, 7 years ago. But
Yeah.
what it basically, you have an on-site engineer that was functioning as AI to make sure that he provided input on the alignment. And
Right.
then you would also talk about the fact of reviewing your results each and every day to
Mm.
give feedback to the operator on ways that they could make sure that they could actually
Mm.
adhere to the soil.
Right. So yeah. So I think that's like core of the things. It's if you can somehow we in construction are so set in our ways, like um that we like if somebody knows like this is how it should be done, then
Right.
most probably they'll say this is how it should be done no matter what the data is presented. So being flexible becomes really great thing. And do you think that this comes from the bottom up or like top down, like the that's maybe the leadership's responsibility to bring those people together and make sure like everybody is exchanging idea? I would like to think like that's more top down approach, no?
Well, I do believe that leadership is extremely important.
Yeah.
I have a saying that when you speak, people watch your feet. It's all about the fact of how well you demonstrate whatever you're speaking about. I mean, are you actually listening? Um, Construction is a very contentious environment
Yeah.
most of the time. You got a lot of people butting heads, and they do view it as it's their way or no way.
Mm.
Creating an environment where they can feel safe and realize that another person could have additional perspective that could add value makes all the difference as well.
Yeah, I see. And so like you said, like construction is very contingent environment, and most of it comes down to money. Like it's whether it's a change order, whether it's getting payment. I think like you can push out the schedule and people can fighting, but like at the end it's all about the money. Like the contractor has to float and owner has to make the schedule and all those. um, and you work in like construction management
Right,
role, so it's like a big part of your job, like to just to understand those things and make sure like the people get paid. And we have some clients who are struggling with the same problem, like they don't have enough documentation to back up their
right.
change order and all those. So um, from your role, any learnings that like general contractors or even owners can deploy to make sure like how they can streamline this process faster? Or is the first question is, can that be done in the construction? Like, is that a solvable problem at all?
Well, it is a solvable problem.
Mm,
The thing here's a couple of suggestions that I found.
mm,
One is education.
mm,
The people in the field need to understand that their participation matters.
mm.
Okay, so that means their daily input matters.
Okay.
Your success, even though it might take 3 to 5 years, is success not every year,
Yeah.
not every month, not every week. It's
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
So, was my day worthwhile? Was it not?
Mm,
Because the better you're able to access records after the fact to help you in the event that you have a disagreement or you have some contentiousness
mm, mm.
makes all the difference. However, when you're doing that, it's not done necessarily in the spirit of protection to make sure that you're able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
It's understanding like, look, we want to make sure that we document the steps that were employed,
Mm,
as well as there's a great job that you did too. And we
yeah.
talk about the fact of what we could do before there's a problem. I
Mm,
give you a good example. So we do a couple of different things to make sure we stay out of trouble.
yeah.
One is that if you see something that you feel like as an inspector or a CM that might not be matching the spec,
Yeah.
you make a note to the contractor.
Mm,
And in making a note to the contractor, you're not saying you did something wrong. You didn't sit there and wait till it got messed up.
mm,
You made it a proactive suggestion. And then they come back to you and tell you that they're going to investigate it.
mm.
And they do a summary report or a summary note about how it was rectified.
Yeah.
Now, you document those things. You
Right.
also document when something may have gone awry. But
Yeah.
when you document it, you let them know, hey, tell me how long it's going to take to get this rectified,
Yeah.
and then you document the solution to be done.
Yeah.
Now, at the end of a project, you always have your sort of checklist of things that need to be done, your
Yeah.
punch list items.
Yeah.
Well, as we started to develop a proactive approach, being out front, if we saw something that we might not understand why you did it that way, and then they
Mm,
come back and tell us why. If we talked about the fact of, hey, look, this looks like this something that doesn't match specs,
yeah.
make sure that you deal with it.
Yeah.
Your punch list items, the
Yeah.
total number was much less than what it would have been
Mm,
because we were really doing punch list items the whole entire way.
right.
And what that means is that the contractor goes, they don't have to wait to the last minute and come back and undo something. They
Right.
did it along the way.
Yeah.
So it helps them to understand that we're not there to just wait and watch them fail. We're
Yeah.
there to make sure that they succeed,
Right.
that they make their margins, we
Yeah.
make our margins. The contractor, I mean, the owner ends up with a successful project
Yeah.
because they even sometimes get savings because the contractor is saying, hey, we've come up with a more
Mm,
an easier way to get this done that could save you time and money.
right.
Everyone's thinking about ways
Yeah.
as opposed to being defensive.
Yeah.
But that's all about the fact of creating an environment to say, I say this,
Yeah.
even if we win in court,
Mm,
we still lost because you never get the money back when
yeah.
you go in court and
Right.
you're still associated with being in court.
Yeah.
How about this? Let's meet on stage
Yeah.
where the
Yeah.
owner says, contractor, great job, CM, great job, designer, great job. I prefer that outcome. And
Yeah.
that's what I've built my reputation on.
Yeah. That's such a great point. And then you bring out the most important thing is like this thing has to, like, every stage of the project and every pillar of the project has to come together to make it happen. Whether it's like diligently recording everything, and not just waiting at the end of the project, but as the project go along, just keeping the track and record and the momentum going. And every time the situation comes, you rectify the situation, you move on, and all those. But I also hear like industry leader and the construction guys that we work with, they say it's so difficult for my guys to do this record keeping, and they have like 10-hour shift, and after that they don't want to write something down or do paperwork or something. They just want to go home. So construction guy being construction guys, they just want to focus on the work that's being done, the operation part of it, and then the other parts that like help them, the company whole, they want to avoid those things. What is your opinion about that? Or like, have you seen, like, do you identify with the problem also?
Definitely, because that's where the education comes.
Mm,
Um, so to summarize your day as an inspector, as a CM, is basically realizing I got to put the big rocks in first. I
yeah.
got to realize what things are the most important things that I need to emphasize in my report.
Mm,
If I get those things in first, I can add the details in later as needed. But I
yeah.
got to make sure if my reports are due by 10 o'clock the next day,
Yeah.
what were the key activities that were performed throughout that day?
Mm,
And what are the things that I'm documenting about those activities that were performed?
mm,
So, say for example, if I know that I am working, performing linear work,
mm,
what was the drawing that I was operating from?
mm,
So, in your report, you go, here's the drawing.
yeah.
This is the amount of feet that was installed. Match the drawing to the work that was done in the field. Make a copy of what was done. Highlight in yellow what was done. Slap a copy in, and you're keeping a running total of the details that were on the sheet that
Yeah.
match what you did in the field, giving kudos to the contractor for accomplishing that.
Yeah.
But you also know there's a schedule.
Yeah.
So you say, well, okay, contractor, at the beginning of the week, what do you expect to happen? Okay,
Mm,
that means Monday this, Tuesday that, Wednesday that. Okay, we're matching what you said you would do with what you did.
mm,
Now, if you're paying attention, you go, okay, well, that means on Monday we do this sheet,
mm.
Tuesday we do this sheet, Wednesday we do this sheet. So you utilize all your tools and your
Right.
building blocks in order to make it sure that you track it properly.
Yeah.
But it's all about the fact of I know I don't have all the time in the world,
Yeah.
and time management is education.
Yeah.
Just like time management is important as engineers,
Yeah.
time management is important for inspectors and construction managers because they have to know put the big rocks in first
Yeah.
and then fill the rest in
Fill
later.
in the details later. Oh, awesome. So I think now, like, there are a lot of companies that do like video recordings, and there's cameras that you can put on hats and like things like that. Do you think those, like, these technologies, they what they prophesize is now you don't have to record as much, or you don't have to rely on human input as much, because your construction site, you can wear a camera on the hat and then you can move around. It will document every progress, every delivery, every safety issues. um, do you see like the technologies like this can replace the inspector's input, or like, or support them? I think it can definitely support them, but can it replace them? Or if they can't, why not? You know?
That's a great question. I look at it this way.
Yeah.
I try to keep things simple. Like I said, 80% of it's people.
Mm.
So if you take that as an example to what you're talking about, you can use cameras, you can
Yeah.
have different things as tools, but the key thing is that those are exactly that. They're tools. They
Mm.
don't replace the judgment, the decisions that you make throughout the day. It's kind of like raising kids.
Mm.
Can you just put a camera in front of a child and you just walk away and you not have to do anything?
Yeah.
Not to say children are the same thing as contractors. I'm not
Right.
saying that.
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is that we have decision making. We
Right.
have input.
Yeah.
When we value that input, yes, it's great to sit a camera out there and say if I need to access that data.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's also a person that was there or people that were there that knew about what time the work was performed in order to say on that camera,
Right.
these are the critical activities that we performed.
Yeah.
How can I pull from that data based
Yeah.
upon the decisions that we made?
Yeah.
How can we show this information to show the quality of the installation?
Yeah.
And if we realize that it was not installed properly, why did we not recognize that? The camera does not
Yeah.
tell us that was installed improperly.
Yeah.
We have to make that decision.
Right. Right. It's That's the executive power. That's like, no matter what you can bring there, the executive power has to be there to recognize and like recognize the situation, or like what is happening in the field. So like you said, like, these are the tools. And because we are an AI company, how do you think like the tools like AI can be useful for maybe construction in general, or like if you have any specific example? like that. And do you think the force of AI, how it's going to change construction, or if it does not, like whatever is your opinion? Yeah,
That's another great question. So I think it's a great tool to help us in the industry, especially with the fact that we don't have a lot of people following in our footsteps.
yeah,
We need as many additional eyes and hands and technology and tools as we can
yeah,
to help us because we are on demand. I
yeah,
mean, that we are. And
mm,
so what I believe AI can do
yeah,
is it can allow us to be able to look at things differently
mm,
that we had not been able to look at before.
mm,
But again, it's about the fact of not all AI is the same.
mm,
So you realize that there are tools that are available, but
mm,
I need to be able to use the correct tool for the right application.
mm,
It's not something where you just set out it on automatic and you don't have to do anything. It's all about the fact of utilizing the proper tool for the proper application. And I
mm.
do believe it can be successful based upon proper usage.
Yeah, and I think as we, the people who are building a lot of these things, the conscious decision we are making is how do we keep the, not take the executive power or not make people lazy. So like if you
This
have
is
to do
true.
something, like if you have to read a document, you have to read a document to understand like what are the nuances of the languages is there. Like the AI should not provide you summary of the document itself, like, right?
Well, imagine I look at it this way. AI can be utilized so many different
Mm,
ways. AI, we're talking about specifically AI being utilized as a tool to observe
mm,
the work being performed.
yeah,
Let's say AI was utilized to actually perform the work. Let's
mm,
say AI was used by contractors to actually perform the construction.
right,
Okay. So again, AI is a tool, but at the end of the day, how it's utilized makes all the difference. And
yeah,
so we have to still maintain the quality. So
yeah,
would AI achieve the quality? We don't know if a
yeah,
contractor utilized it.
mm,
All these things are changing very, very rapidly and very
mm,
quickly, which again requires judgment because I come from an era, you're a
mm,
lot younger than I am,
yes,
where I played video games growing up.
mm,
And from to me, all of these softwares and AI are just video games.
mm,
The more you play, the better you get at it.
mm,
The less you play,
yeah,
the less you're good at it. So
right,
that means because there's so many applications in
yeah,
terms of software and AI,
yeah,
you really have to decide which ones are the most important and does it serve the purpose that I need?
right,
Because if you just say AI, you're
yeah,
not going to be fast at it. You're not going to realize its challenges because it's not specific enough for your application.
mm. That's, yeah, I mean, James on James, because like that's the thing that we keep hearing also, like people, especially construction folks, they have very little appetite for bullshitting things. So it has to be very specific, it has to be it has to deal with your problem really spot on, and if it's not, then you can, if it doesn't do that, then you can get lost in the loops of trying to figure out what's happening. It's going to lose the time of the people who are using it and also people who are building it. And so really, really great points there. I think we are out of time. Like we are 10 minutes over the time because
I
I
didn't even
was
realize it.
I was enjoying our discussion so much. So I want to thank you for joining us. If any questions or any comments that you have that, or any things that I forgot to ask, maybe you can like, if anything you want to say that I missed or something.
Well, I mean, once again, this is an absolute honor. People often say that when they compliment me, they can tell I was raised right. And
Yeah.
I asked them why do they say that, and I say because they tell me they said, well, we can tell you were raised right because every time someone gives you a compliment, you say you're going to tell your daddy. So this was an absolute pleasure, and I can assure you once I get off, I'm going to tell my daddy.
All right. Thank you so much. It was pleasure to have you. Have a good
Yes,
one, sir. And hope to I'll talk to you again. Sometimes we'll bring you
please
on
do.
again, and then hopefully we can share some more insights and thoughts.
Excellent.
Um, all right. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.